Greetings all! Today, we will be examining the rare Ice-type Pokemon Cryogonal, the crystallizing Pokemon. Cryogonal possess an angled body form very much resembling that of a snowflake, though they are much larger than your average snowflake and surprisingly heavy, their bodies primarily being built out of solid ice. The intricate body patterns that they possess are the result of controlled crystallization within their frames and are brilliant to observe from a geometric standpoint, as the bodies are always perfectly designed with no inherent flaws ever present in the crystallization process. However, while they look pretty, it is ill-advised to touch the edges of their body as they are razor sharp and can cause severe cuts if grasped too firmly. Within the interior of their body, there are two spaces where there are natural hollows in the crystal lattice. The larger of the two spaces occurs in the middle of their body and is backed only by a semi-thin sheet of ice. On the inside, there are a pair of energy spheres that constantly emit light and effectively act as the eyes of these creatures, observing their surroundings through the ultraviolet light emitted by other life forms by absorbing it and biologically analyzing it, which helps them greatly as it makes it much easier for them to see even in a blistering storm. The smaller of the two carved-out hollows in their frame host two slots from which icy chains are generated on a constant basis. These serve as the grasping appendages of these creatures, and are the only way they can directly interact with objects and other life forms. Despite their bodies being incredibly dense, the crystalline lattice of their form is actually quite brittle, and the slightest amount of force can crack and damage it, making these otherwise imposing beasts fairly fragile from a physical standpoint. While Cryogonal may seem completely alien to some as a result of lack of any form of observable living tissue, the strange truth behind these creatures is that they are microlegions. Their consciousness formed from the collective instincts of a rare type of bacteria that lives in snow clouds. This unique biological origin is notably the reason why Cryogonal are one of only a few types of Pokemon that can be taught the Attract technique via TM, but are unable to actually use it successfully. It is unknown how these psychrophiles came to live in these kinds of frigid conditions, but what is known is that they are drawn to sources of electrical energy. Typically, these creatures form when snow clouds containing this bacteria come into contact with high-altitude magnetic storms. This rare interaction causes the magnetic charge in the storm to induce a polarization within budding ice crystals. The bacteria are attracted to this polarization as they emit an electrical field of their own and begin to build colonies around and in the ice as it is still forming, growing and using the electrical charge to stabilize themselves high in the air, while generating a magnetic field that can keep them aloft even when they are fully formed. The combined electromagnetic energy of the colony is enough to keep these creatures aloft in the air indefinitely, and thus grants them access to the levitate ability, and it provides the creatures with a fairly solid body form that can reform even after sustaining critical damage, thus making it exceptionally hard to actually destroy them. The only thing that can truly halt the repair process is high temperatures, as they cannot defend themselves if they have no body to manipulate. If the ambient air temperature is raised above the freezing point of water, their bodies will turn to steam and dissipate. The combined electromagnetic energy of the colony allows their minds to remain unified and intact, however, and they can then easily reform their bodies if the temperature is lowered below the freezing point of water once more. Since their bodies are made out of sharp ice, Cryogonal have a few special quirks to them that can make them incredibly useful in the right circumstances. For one thing, thanks to the icy chain appendages, Cryogonal are the only ice-type Pokemon able to naturally learn the Bind attack. Their sharpened edges makes them one of the few Pokemon able to naturally learn the Sharpen technique, as well as one of the few ice types able to learn the Rapid Spin attack along with moves like Slash and Night Slash. Moreover, their ability to easily repair their damaged bodies makes them among the few ice types that can learn the Recover technique, and their power to use their entire bodies as a focusing lens for solar energy makes them the only ice type able to naturally learn the Solar Beam attack. They further gain access to the rare Freeze Dry attack, a move that only a scant few ice-type Pokemon can learn, and combined with a devastating Sheer Cold attack, helps to make these creatures surprising threats with a wide variety of move types at their disposal. In looking at their overall stats, though, it is clear that Cryogonal are very good at certain things in battle, but terrible in others. On the one hand, their fragile nature of their crystal lattice means that Cryogonal are very poorly suited for physical confrontations, and don't have a ton of stamina to work with to overcome this issue, as their base HP stat is slightly below average for a fully evolved Ice-type Pokemon, and their base attack and defense stats are very, very low in the same manner. Moreover, while they do have some decent special offenses to work with, their base special attack stat is still slightly below average for fully evolved Ice-type Pokemon. However, their electromagnetic powers make them fairly nimble in the air, and their polished bodies can easily reflect energy-based attacks to a large degree with little issue, granting them above average speed and special defense stats and, in truth, the highest base special defense stat out of all non-legendary Ice-type Pokemon. As such, while they might not perform very well in close quarters, Cryogonals shine when it comes to long-range battles and can easily use their speed to get the drop on opponents and make the most of what offenses they do have. Unfortunately, there is not a whole lot that can be said about Cryogonal in terms of their overall behavior, as they are driven by pure instinct by the colony of bacteria that comprise them and thus have little in the way of emotional variety. Cryogonal usually spend most of their time in the snow clouds they were born in, but when they feel that the air is becoming too dry for their tastes, they will drop down to the surface of the earth and will seek out prey to feed upon. While they do not have the need to feed on the meat of living organisms for energy, they do enjoy feasting on their vital fluids for nutrition to keep the colony satiated, and the water in their prey's bodies as a whole in order to keep their body complete and in pristine condition. As such, these monsters will generally use moves like Mist and Haze to create a cover for them that hides them from view, and when they are close to a prey target, they will lash out with the ice chains on their body, wrapping them around the prey and freezing them at temperatures as low as negative 148 degrees Fahrenheit, freezing them solid and allowing Cryogonal to then feast on their frozen bodily liquids. The simple nature of their minds can make Cryogonal seemingly easy to handle, but great caution is still highly recommended, as while this can make them easy to train, it also makes them very hard to work with at first, and they may be more likely to try and feast on opponents than simply battle them, requiring specialized training in order to make the most of them safely in battle. Though they can be fragile in a sense, Cryogonal are unique creatures that can put their icy bodies to good use in battle and prove to be a swift and imposing force when used correctly. They may take some getting used to and might not be the most emotionally responsive Pokemon out there, but they can still use their special offenses to great effect in battle and more than prove themselves to be a force to be reckoned with if one does not take heed of their weaknesses. Do yourself a favor though, and make sure that if you have any kids, don't let them go outside when there have been sightings of these frigid fiends around. They might not target them initially, as they usually stay clear of humans, but they will definitely instill a degree of fright in young ones that will likely ruin any future fun they could have in the midst of a winter wonderland.